What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
another day at the office, I get to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones,
Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
and all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.
If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333.
What is going on, friends? Welcome into another episode of Sports from the Couch. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for joining us on the Mercado Airwaves Network. On today's episode, we break down everything that was the NFL and preview this week's upcoming games. The NBA's new year is here. We predict everything that will happen in this upcoming season, including our postseason picks and awards that will be given out at the end of the season. And friend of the show, MLB analyst Paul Chivari joins us to break everything MLB postseason and a little bit Cubs and Sox talk. All that and much more here on this episode of Sports from the Couch.
If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333.
What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
Another day at the office, I get to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones,
Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
and all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support. Happy New Year, friends. The association is back. It is time for the Sports from the Couch 2018-2019 NBA season preview and our predictions. So just to give you guys a little information, obviously if you've never followed me before in any of our other sports shows that we've done here in the network, or anytime I've ever been able to talk sports on the radio, I love the association. I love the NBA. You know, I love all sports, but there's a connection I have with basketball. It's one of those sports that I played with my brothers growing up. I played with my dad growing up. I've always been a huge Bulls fan. I've always just loved watching TNT games. My schedule lets me watch all the primetime games on Thursday and on Wednesday. And I love the showcase games on Sunday. So I've always been, I think the NBA does a great job of not only marketing itself, but it does a great job of making everything mean something, even in an 82-game season. I know there's always the dog days of the winter that we always complain about, and we're just trying to get to April, May, and June. But the NBA is always a story going on. It's a star-driven league. It's a league where personalities and talent come together. So I'm a huge fan of the NBA, and that's why we're going to go ahead and I'm going to give you my East and West predictions from 15 to number 1, and then I'll probably give you my finals prediction. And obviously throughout the season we'll have guests, we'll break things down. And because we're a Chicago-based podcast and radio show, we'll go ahead and obviously be really in-depth with the Chicago Bulls over at the United Center. But why don't we go ahead and we start in the Eastern Conference. We'll start from 15 up. I have at 15 the New York Knicks. At 14, the Atlanta Hawks. At 13, the Orlando Magic. At 12, the Cleveland Cavaliers. At 11, the Chicago Bulls. At 10, the Brooklyn Nets. And at 9, the Charlotte Hornets, which means my prediction for the Eastern Conference playoffs this year will be at the 8th seed, the Miami Heat. At 7, the Detroit Pistons. At 6, the Milwaukee Bucks. At 5, the Washington Wizards. Your top 4 of the Eastern Conference will be at 4, the Toronto Raptors. At 3, the Indiana Pacers. The Philadelphia Phillies will be your number 2 seed. And at number 1 will be the Boston Celtics. Heading over to the Western Conference at 15 will be the Sacramento Kings. At 14, the Phoenix Suns. At 13, the Dallas Mavericks. At 12, the LA Clippers. At 11, the Memphis Grizzlies. At 10, the Minnesota Timberwolves. At number 9 will be the Portland Trailblazers, which makes your top 8 teams of the Western Conference this playoff season will be the San Antonio Spurs at number 8. At 7, the New Orleans Pelicans. At 6, the Denver Nuggets. At 5, LeBron's LA Lakers. At 4, the Utah Jazz. At 3, the Oklahoma City Thunder. At 2, the Houston Rockets. At number 1, your defending NBA champion, Golden State Warriors. And with that being said, the official Sports from the Couch, Mercado Airwaves NBA Finals pick will be from the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics, against the Western Conference champion, Golden State Warriors. The Warriors win another NBA championship in 6 games. Some other post-awards, you will have Giannis Antetokounmpo winning the NBA MVP, and your Rookie of the Year will be DeAndre Ayton. And we'll break down everything else in the next coming weeks, our predictions as we get on throughout the season. Cannot wait to see what happens in the association. So much fun. We're going to see what LeBron does with his version of the Showtime Lakers. Will they develop? Will the Knicks get the number 1 pick and have free agent room next season? Is it all for next season? Will the Kings surprise people, or are they just in so much disarray? I'm going to bet on that as well. What is going to happen with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Jimmy Butler saga? How about Anthony Davis heading to Boston next season? Can Boston put it all together? Is Kyrie heading to the Knicks? Can Kyrie carry the Celtics to an NBA Finals? What about the up-and-coming Philadelphia 76ers with all the star young power you can have? Can they be destined for an NBA title run? So many questions, so many different things. The Washington Wizards underneath the radar. You have the Denver Nuggets, who were a very solid team last season. Are the San Antonio Spurs on their last leg? Kawhi Leonard is a Toronto Raptor. We have so many stories, so many things we're going to get into. Guys, I cannot wait. We have so much to talk about. Let us know who you think is going to win the NBA Finals. Who's coming out of the East? Who's coming out of the West? Who is your MVP? Where are the free agents going after the season? What are you looking most forward to this season? Can't wait to hear from you guys all over social media. I'm on Twitter at mmercado2333. Follow me on Instagram at MikeMercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson.
It's another day that the operator to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones,
Orlando, how you doing,
Thank
buddy?
you, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
and all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.
If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333.
All right, it is time to check the scoreboard in what was an exciting Week 6 in the NFL. On Thursday night, the Philadelphia Eagles beat the New York Giants 34-13. The Buccaneers fall to the Atlanta Falcons 34-29. It was the Chargers over the Browns 38-14. Jets beat the Colts 42-34. The Seahawks 27, Oakland 3. The John Gruden era not going so well. Washington 23, Panthers 17. It was the Texans over the Bills 20-13. The Minnesota Vikings 27, Arizona Cardinals 17. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers 28, Cincinnati Bengals 21. The Bears fell to the Dolphins 31-28. We'll get into that in just 1 second. The LA Rams beat the Denver Broncos 23-20. It was the Ravens 21 blanking out the Titans. Jaguars fall to the Dallas Cowboys 40-7. And if you didn't get enough Connor, you sure as hell did after that game on Fox. It was the Chiefs falling to the Patriots 40-43 in an awesome Sunday night football matchup, a potential AFC championship matchup. And on Monday night, Aaron Rodgers brings back the Green Bay Packers 33-30 over the San Francisco 49ers. And jumping into that Bears game, I mean, look, what else can you say? A lot of people want to blame Mitchell Trubisky. Bottom line, 22 for 31, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns, a costly interception in the red zone. You can't do it. You can't. I understand that it's inexcusable, but you know, the running backs putting the ball on the carpet, the defense not being able to hold up their own. Typically, the Chicago Bears should win the game 28-31. There's no excuse for it. And especially with Brock Osweiler playing. Brock Osweiler, for some reason, has this Bears number. And with Khalil Mack getting hurt, you know, a lot of teams, Adam Gase probably found what works. And we saw it in the second half of that Green Bay game where you got to get rid of the ball fast. You got to tire out this defense. And even when this offense is running at full strength, it feels like, you know, they're a step behind when it comes to certain things. And a lot of people are really confused because of this record. I think a lot of us changed our mindset when Khalil Mack was brought in. I think we forgot to really put into perspective that it's still a first-time head coach. It's still a quarterback that's only 14 games in. I mean, we're seeing it everywhere, even with Patrick Mahomes missing high. Didn't look so great in the first half, or at least the first quarter. Deshaun Watson hasn't looked all that great this season. Baker Mayfield, other than that comeback a few weeks ago. Same thing with Josh Allen, with Sam Darnold, with a lot of these guys. And that's where we're at right now, is where the league is so razor thin. The margin of error of winning and losing is so thin right now. There's so much parity in the National Football League. And it's nothing new. We've seen it. I mean, you can look at the Dolphins at 4-2. You're telling me that the Dolphins looked all that great? I mean, that wide receiver crew, it's a crapshoot if you're a fantasy football player. Obviously, Brock Osweiler's made a ton of money. It's not the best of quarterbacks to begin with. So the Bears have some issues, and including Tom Brady, who's looking to start in that offense, in that New England offense, starting to look better and starting to look like they're finding their stride, especially with Julian Edelman coming back from suspension. It's going to be a tough one. And for the Bears to lose this game coming off of a bye and not scoring in the first half. Some problems. And there is some good to come out of it. But we'll definitely dig deep a little bit more into this Bears team as we go through, and we'll definitely have somebody a little bit more knowledgeable and in-depth analyst here on Sports from the Couch as we get closer to Week 8 of the season, halfway through this season. But why don't we go ahead and take a look of next week's matchup in the NFL. Kicking us off on Thursday, it is the Denver Broncos and the Arizona Cardinals. And then on Sunday, it is the Tennessee Titans and the Chargers, an 8:30 matchup. The Panthers and Eagles get it on. It is the Vikings and the Jets, Bills and Colts, Patriots versus Bears, Browns versus Buccaneers, Texans versus Jaguars, Lions and the Dolphins. It is the Saints versus the Ravens, Cowboys and Washington. It is the LA Rams versus the San Francisco 49ers. And on Sunday night, it is the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And to close out Week 7, the New York Giants against the Atlanta Falcons. So some matchups we're keeping our eyes on. It's Kansas City versus Cincinnati. We'll see how Kansas City bounces back and if they are still the cream of the crop of the AFC. Interesting to see how the 49ers respond after that loss, and with Beathard being their backup quarterback, not playing that bad. I mean, not playing good, but and seeing if the Rams can come back from a little bit of a scare this past week. You have the Bears and the Patriots in a low-key matchup. A lot of people are going to be on the Patriots, going to be heavy favorites in my opinion, but the Bears need to respond, and we'll see. The Patriots have not looked all that great leading into this game up until this past Sunday night. So that should be very interesting. Texans and Jaguars going at it in an AFC South matchup. Interesting to see that. Eagles, Panthers in a potential NFC playoff matchup. That should be really good. Titans, Chargers. So it's going to be a fun week in the NFL. Let us know, how did your team do this week, and how is your team looking for the rest of the season? We got more from Sports on the Couch here on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado.
If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333.
What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
It's another day at the operator to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones,
Orlando, how you doing,
How you,
buddy?
sir? I'm good, brother. How you doing?
and all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support. Joining us on the phone today for his weekly hit is friend of the show, baseball expert and analyst, covering everything that is MLB, Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs, and anything in the baseball world. One of the best in the business is friend of the show, Paul Chivari. Mr. Chivari, how you doing, brother?
Doing good. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm good, my guy. Thank you again for taking some time for us. I know you've had a busy couple of days, and you're taking some time for us, and we really appreciate it. And I think some fans are on edge right now because for the first time, I think in all the playoffs, we actually have a couple series going on, kid.
Yeah, no, it's nice that both are actually tied up. I was worried about the what the Red Sox would look like after they lost Game 1 and the way Chris Sale looked. I mean, because you never know how bad David Price is going to be in the playoffs, but Price put in a good enough start to get his team to win. I mean, he still is winless himself in the playoffs, but I believe that's his first actual start in the playoffs where his team ended up winning the game. So Red Sox make it interesting. Now they got to go to Houston, where that's a tough part to try and get some wins. But tied at 1, you got all three are going to be in Houston guaranteed. And, of course, Brewers, Dodgers, all three are guaranteed to be at Los Angeles. And, we're minutes away here when we're recording this for Game 3 of Dodgers Brewers. But it's they're both shaping up to be really good series, and hopefully we can get them to go at least 6 or 7.
So on today's, why don't we do a couple of hot things that have been kind of going through my mind? First off, with the whole thing that's going on with Chris Sale in the American League, you've covered his whole career, especially over here in the White Sox, one of the most dominant left-handed pitchers we've ever seen, violent release, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of questionable controversies that went on with Chris Sale. But with this whole thing going on now with the stomach issues and, giving up hits and not looking as sharp, is Chris Sale the ace everybody thought he was going to be, in your opinion? And now, mind you, we with the benefit of being able to take some of this back because, nothing's set in stone. What are you feeling right now at this point of Chris Sale's career, looking back at what he was in the South Side to where he is now in Fenway?
Oh, I mean, he's definitely an ace, no question. I mean, he was an ace with the White Sox. He's an ace with the Red Sox. But he's hurt right now. There's something going on with his shoulder that put him on the disabled list back in August and September. Came back from it. They kind of eased him back into it with his innings at the end of the regular season. But, I mean, you saw the way he pitched in Game 1 of the division series. He looked good. When he came in the 8th inning of Game 4 of the division series, all he needed was 13 pitches to retire the Yankees in order 1, 2, 3. His velocity was down on Saturday night, and he was still effective enough to keep the team in the game that night, but just overall, just not a good outcome for him. Only going 4 innings that night with the 2 earned runs. He did walk a lot of batters. Only walked 4 with the 5 strikeouts. Only gave up 1 hit, but according to Alex Cora, the Red Sox manager, he was saying that his fastball was only working on his glove side, so that would be inside to right-handed batters, outside on left-handed batters. He didn't find his slider until the 4th inning, which was the last inning that he pitched, and his changeup was okay, but I mean, if he doesn't have that slider working, you know how big that is to Chris Sale's game. And of course, his fastball. If he's not getting the velocity on his fastball, being a left-handed pitcher, he can get away with a lowered velocity. But you still, Chris Sale's capable of hitting the high 90s. So if he's not doing that, he's just not the pitcher that he normally is. But he still gave them a good enough game. So I think without question he's still an ace. But the Red Sox can't depend on him to bail them out all the time. And we'll see how he bounces back from this stomach illness. It says he's going to join the team tomorrow in Houston on Tuesday. They said it didn't factor into his start on Monday, even though he goes right to the hospital on Sunday. So, I don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back, and if they're going to start him in Game 5 in Houston, I think is what they're slated to do. And we'll see how he looks in Game 5, and I think that'll give us a clue as to the type of pitcher he is. If this series should go 7 games, I would expect to see if Sale it doesn't look awful or doesn't tweak anything in his start on Thursday. I would imagine that he'd be coming in for at least an inning in a Game 7 should that happen.
The Red Sox won a game without hitting a home run. First time they've done that in these playoffs. Let me ask you this. Do we lose track of that when it comes to this offense? I know when you look at the Cubs and a lot of different teams, we focus on that they can't win without getting the ball out of the yard. And I understand, a base hit is not worth as much as a home run. Do you think that's going to be the Red Sox downfall into the series? Is if that offense is not able to get the ball over the fence?
No, I don't think so at all. I think we place a lot in home runs, and I think the way the game is being played right now, the 3-outcome type of baseball, home run, strikeout, walk. I think we place too much importance on the home run. Yeah, it's nice, but let's not forget that there's a really high fence out in right field and a very far away fence in left field at that park in Fenway. You're going to have a little bit of different sized fence in Houston. Where I believe in left field it's kind of the same thing where it's a higher wall, but it's nowhere near the Green Monster in Boston. So let's see how the Red Sox hit in Game 3 and Game 4 before we start worrying about the home run being the downfall. The biggest problem is they have to face some really tough pitching in the Houston Astros. I don't know who's slated to start the next game for the Astros. I'd have to look that up. They have Dallas Keuchel, of course. You have that 3-headed monster of Verlander, Keuchel, and and Garrett Cole to deal with if you're the Red Sox. And, of course, that bullpen, too, which has only given up one earned run in 5 innings pitched so far in those first 2 games, with 9 strikeouts to boot through 5 innings. I mean, no matter what, the Red Sox are facing incredibly great pitching top to bottom in the Astros. So I don't think it's the lack of home runs. I think it's just so much trying to find ways to get men on base and get them around to score when you're talking about the Red Sox trying to get runs against the Astros.
Speaking of the Astros, very impressive in this series, very impressive all season long, obviously. It's starting to look to me like they're just on that fast track. Obviously, there's nothing you can put on there. The Red Sox will go off and win 3 straight games. But there has to be something said about this team right now. And unlike other teams that we've seen since the Yankees in the early 2000s, this team looks like a legit contender to win their 2nd straight World Series and really stamp itself as the dynasty of the era of GMs. Let me ask you this. Did you think it was going to be the Astros? I mean, I know they always had the chance, right? Like, we always knew there was only a select few of them who were doing it this way that were going to have the opportunity to not only win it, but then repeat it. We obviously saw it with Kansas City. We saw it with Chicago. We're seeing it with Houston. We might be seeing it with Milwaukee. We might be seeing it with a couple different teams. But in your opinion, if somehow Houston gets past the Red Sox and they win the World Series, how impressive, not only obviously because it's their 2nd straight, but how impressive is it to have done it this way?
Oh, it's incredibly impressive. I mean, baseball, just like any other sport, has to go through various evolutions. And, we remember at the beginning of this decade how much of a laughingstock the Houston Astros were. But they were building towards this moment. You have to build a core. Baseball's a team sport. You need at least 25 guys to win throughout the season. And, especially, with the playoffs, too, with, the trade deadline. I mean, a good general manager can help you build a core, but that's not going to be enough to do it. And I think last year the Astros really turned the corner when they got Justin Verlander and the waiver deadline, at the end of August, just in time to get him on the postseason roster. And then in the offseason, picking up Garrett Cole was a big factor too. And then let's not forget too, getting Roberto Osuna coming off his suspension. That was a very fortunate find for that bullpen to get a guy that was good enough to be a closer in Toronto, and now he factors into a bullpen that has just a lot of great pitchers. And then, you can move your starter, Lance McCullers, into the bullpen, and he's just as effective. So, I mean, it's just great. A great job by the general manager to put together a team like that and to make the deals to supplement that team. And it's a great job by the manager, A.J. Hinch, to really know how to utilize those weapons. And, look at him with Carlos Correa being injured, their shortstop, kind of playing through like a back injury right now. He's definitely not using the best of his abilities. I know he's, had some home runs. He came up with some key hits, in these 2 series, but Correa is just not the type of guy that he normally is. But there's enough guys to completely back him up on this roster. And, Springer and Altuve and, Gurriel and Marlon Gonzalez, Josh Reddick, those guys coming up really big, in addition to all the other guys that I think kind of play smaller roles too. And, the fact that you can get Martin Maldonado just for his defensive capabilities at catcher and kind of maybe sacrifice a bat in the lineup, but he still comes up big as well. So I think top to bottom, it's just a very well put together roster. And, it's a lot to do with the way that, this team is built. It's what they planned on doing. But of course, you can build a core all you want, but it's something that, you have to kind of play the, play that general manager game of being able to build depth and build on your core and supplement it. So I give credit to Jeff Luhnow for being able to put together such a magnificent roster. And it's I don't know how much it is the Astros repeating, if it's a sign of what the rest of the league is or just how good the Astros are. But let's not take anything away from this team. They're a very good team, and they're well deserving of being considered one of the greats if they are able to repeat, because it's no surprise that they would be this good.
Paul Chivari, friend of the show, joining us today. He is a radio personality. You can also catch him anywhere, being one of the best baseball analysts we know at Baseball Weekend Journal. He's also the play-by-play of a bunch of different stuff over here in the Midwest when it comes to high school football, college hockey, and baseball, and a bunch of different stuff. Check him out on Twitter at Paul Chivari. And we got some, we'll see what Paul's up to at the end of the show. Paul, how are you feeling about the series heading the rest of the way through this to the World Series? Do you see this going the full rest of the way?
Well, I think it's going to at least get to it's at least going to get to a Game 6. Yeah. I kind of like the way Boston's looking in these next two games. I was kind of thinking Houston has the advantage, but I think the fact that Boston was able to tie it up heading to Houston gives them a little bit more of an edge than they would have been down 0-2. If they were down 0-2 heading to Houston, I would say no matter what, Houston's going to take 2 out of 3 with the momentum on their side. It would be closed off at 5. But looking at the matchup of Nathan Eovaldi going up against Dallas Keuchel, it could go either way. And I think Eovaldi, the way he's pitched down the stretch here, has been really good. I think Dallas Keuchel, of course, is a great pitcher. He's been in these big moments, but maybe he's not as effective as he was in years past. We'll have to wait and see how Game 3 plays out. Game 4, it's going to be Rick Porcello versus Charlie Morton. 2 very good pitchers in their own right, and Porcello's come up pretty big for the Red Sox in the series. Now, this is assuming that he's not going to come in any sort of relief appearance in Game 3, because, of course, we have seen him already in relief appearances. I believe last night in Game 2, he came in for an inning. Porcello's going to have an effective start and be able to at least last 4 or 5 innings in order for the Red Sox to be effective. But really, you want him to go deeper, especially since Porcello's not going to be your guy in the 8th inning unless he's really rolling along. But Porcello's been effective out of the bullpen in that 8th inning. But I like the 2 pitchers that Boston has going in Games 3 and 4. And, of course, you get to Chris Sale in Game 5. You know, we might be looking at the Red Sox sweeping them in Houston all 3 of those games and awaiting a World Series winner. But I don't think so. And I could see it going the other way, too. I could see Houston with just how timely their hitting has been and how effective their bullpen is and their starting pitching. You know, of course, Houston could easily sweep it, too. So, I mean, we're just really going to have to wait and see what we get out of these 2 teams. But I really do see it going to 6. And I think whoever has the edge up 3-2 after 5 should be able to close it out in 6. But we'll just have to wait and see.
God, that razor thin line in this series. This is what we were hoping for. And unlike some of us here in the north side of Chicago, it's not the same in the National League where you're seeing the Brewers and the Dodgers. But to be fair, it is a series tied up 1-1. The strongest point of the Milwaukee Brewers all season, especially the second half of the season heading into those playoffs, was that dominating bullpen. But right now, it seems like the starting pitching is carrying this pitching staff and this bullpen, and the Dodgers look to be unamused, unfazed by what is that buzzsaw, which is what I really wanted to see in the NLDS between the Cubs and the Brewers, but we're seeing a series later in this. Let me ask you this. Did you expect the bullpen of Milwaukee to kind of fizzle out? I'm not going to say done, because we don't know yet, but fizzle out just a tad bit, or should we have seen it coming since, use arm a lot, arm starts to hurt?
I don't know if I would say they fizzled out. I think Jeremy Jeffress, he's – I don't know the stats on it, but I want to say he gave up his first ever home run using his splitter when Justin Turner took that 2-run homer in Game 2. Jeffress has been hot and cold in the divisional series. He gives up the lead, and it goes into extra innings. But still an effective performance despite giving up the 2 runs, but didn't lose the game. Game 2, he comes in, I think, just maybe a batter or 2, and works a clean inning except for like maybe a hit. Game 3 struggles a little bit, but didn't blow the game. Game 1, I want to say he looked good in the championship series against the Dodgers on Friday night. Well, in Game 2, he comes in, and, you see what happens where, he looks great when he's in relief for Corbin Burns, but when he's working in the 7th inning against Justin Turner, that's where things kind of fall off the rails. Or maybe that was the 8th inning. But I think you take away Jeffress being cold, and I don't know if it's fizzled out necessarily. we're not in that locker room. We're not in that clubhouse. We don't know what the Brewers manager, Craig Counsell, is necessarily thinking. We know that he's erased the roles and that he's going to go with who he has some sort of game plan. And I think we can know that Jeffress so far has been his go-to guy in the sense that, any given day he's got Jeffress available. And now they've had a day off. Jeffress has a chance to kind of shake off what happened on Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in tonight here on Monday. Now, is he going to pitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at Dodger Stadium? I don't think so. But what I do know is that I would expect to see him in at least 2 of those games. And if it's not, tonight and tomorrow, it's going to be tomorrow and Wednesday. So I don't know. Josh Hader, the thing about him is he's not effective going back to back. And I think that was a big reason why Josh Hader went 3 innings on Friday night. The Brewers wanted to get that edge in the series and take game 1. There's something to be said about that. You're at home. You're in front of your crowd. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I want to say it's a majority of the game 1 winners go on to win a series. It just kind of gives you that momentum boost. There's a chance that the Brewers almost went up 2-0 on the Dodgers, save for that Justin Turner home run. So I think the reason why Hader pitches on Friday for 3 innings is because they know they're not going to use them on Saturday regardless of what happens. So try and get the most you can out of them. Maybe there might be a little bit of overuse. This is what I was saying last week on the show, and maybe even the week before that was, let's see what happens with this Brewers bullpen down the stretch if it's going to be overuse. I don't think they've reached that point yet, except for I think Jeffress might be the one that might be the most affected or the most susceptible to being overused at this point. But I think Josh Hader, they have a game plan for him. I would fully expect Josh Hader, regardless of how the outcome of tonight's game here on Monday would be, Hader's going to come into the game tonight. And he's not going to come in Tuesday night, but he'll be in Wednesday night. I guarantee it that's going to be how they go, just going every other day, which means he'll be available for Game 6 should it get there. And then we'll see what happens in Game 7. That's going to be a whole other thing right there is what happens in Game 7. And, you and I won't be talking before then, at least on the podcast here. So, I'm just going to go ahead and say it now that if Hader pitches in Games 3, 5, and 6, I would fully expect him to go Game 7, but I think he'll be on a tighter leash at some point, either in Game 6 to keep him available for Game 7, or if he goes far in Game 6, it would maybe only be like a lefty-lefty matchup in Game 7, or maybe 1 or 2 batters in Game 7. But we'll have to wait and see. But I think the thing that's really missing from all of this is, how far can the Brewers go without their starting pitching? It's you got Jhoulys Chacín pitching Game 3, and
shut down the Cubs.
Shut down the Cubs in Game 163, but Chacín got rocked against the Dodgers earlier this year. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think he got chased early, and the Dodgers ended up scoring 21 runs that game. That was, I think, late June or late July when that one occurred. Maybe it was August 1st or July 1st, now that I think about it. But either way, that was a game where, they jumped on Chacín early, chased them out of the game. It probably threw off their game plan. Final score of that one, I believe, was 21-5. So, let's see how Chacín steps up tonight, because he can't have a game like that. He absolutely can't, because then you're going to have to go with maybe a guy like Gio Gonzalez or Xavier Cedeno or, Junior Guerra to try and just eat up innings to get through the game. But those are the guys that I'm wondering. Like Junior Guerra, normally a starter, can pitch out of the bullpen. Freddie Peralta, same thing. Will those guys be needed in a spot start? But I think this is kind of why Craig Counsell's going with the bullpen aspect of it. I think his usual starters aren't around. Chase Anderson, not effective. Jimmy Nelson, I think, still injured. Guys that were helping them in 2017 just aren't there in 2018. So now you kind of have to go with Jhoulys Chacín being your only real starter, and then 11 other guys that are just going to try and get innings for you, with the exception of Wade Miley, who pitched tremendously in Game 2, but they were going to keep him on a short leash with only the 74 pitches in that game. A lot of people would have liked to have seen him extended, but there's a game plan going on with the Brewers, and I don't think the bullpen's fizzled out yet. Let's see where they are after Wednesday night. Let's see what they look like after Wednesday, because obviously they're going to use some of these guys in these next 3 games, and it's going to be, do the wheels completely fall off the train that is Josh Hader? Is Jeremy Jeffress going to pick it back up again? How much can you depend on Corey Knebel? Does Gio Gonzalez come out in the middle innings, or do you have to save him for game 4 or 5? I think that's those are some important questions to be asked. As of this point, the Brewers still have not named a game 4 starter. And I don't know if it means that Brandon Woodruff is going to make a 3-inning start, or if Gio Gonzalez is going to make a 3-inning start, or if Craig Counsell comes up with even something completely different. Does Wade Miley come out for 2 innings? It's really interesting. It's very fascinating to see what the Brewers are doing. And, we're talking about a split series right now, but so far it's been working. You take away that Jeffress pitch to Turner, and we might be talking about how they've won, 12 or 13 in a row?
Yeah, they've been on an absolute stupid roll, and it's sickening.
Yeah, it's just, hot teams get hot. It's, like you and I always say, baseball is going to baseball, and Milwaukee's found a way. But let's see what happens. Dodger Stadium is a very hard place to win ball games if you're the visiting team. And, maybe game 2 is a sign of things not working in the long run here for Craig Counsell. But you got to give credit to Counsell. He's come up with a great plan to keep the Brewers around this long, and they're not done yet. We're talking about them losing the home field advantage in essentially a best of 5, but they can easily steal one back from the Dodgers in tonight, tomorrow, or Wednesday. And who knows? Maybe we're talking on Wednesday night about the National League champion Milwaukee Brewers, which I don't think you and I would have ever bet in our wildest imaginations if we mentioned this back in March to each other.
Nope, not with everything being considered in this era. But, you got to give him credit, like you said. And I think the astute word said is this is the Craig Counsell week. We're going to find out right now how good of a manager and how much a manager means in the postseason. Bullpen management, staff management. We know it's easy when guys like Christian Yelich and Kane are carrying your team. We know how easy it is when Chris Bryant or Anthony Rizzo are carrying your team, when Justin Verlander is carrying. It's these times right now when you don't know exactly how much more gas the bullpen has. You don't know when the camel's back is going to break on your starting rotation, and you're facing down the barrel that is the LA Dodgers, who are trying to get theirs finally. It's a big ask and a big get by these Brewers, but you know what? If there's one team that we've seen that's been able to do it, it's them. And I kind of want to get as we kind of wrap up this week's breakdown of the playoffs, who does the advantage go to? I think right now it goes to LA. There is no pressure on the Dodgers right now, which is amazing to think that it's the LA Dodgers who have no pressure right now.
If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333.
What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
Another day that the operator to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones,
Orlando, how you doing,
How are
buddy?
you, sir? I'm good, brother. How you doing?
and all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show.
Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.
Well, I think there's some pressure on them. You know, they've got a rookie starting tonight, and as we're talking here, you know, the Dodgers are already down 1-0 before they've even come up to bat. You know, granted it's the first inning, but Walker Buehler, you know, he didn't look so good in the second inning against the Braves back in Game 3 of the divisional series. You know, I mean, he gave up that grand slam to Ronald Acuna. So I mean, I mean, he's a great pitcher. Walker Buehler is just an amazing pitcher, but I mean, he's still young. And then, of course, you got to go with Rich Hill in Game 4, where, you know, Hill is an amazing pitcher, but he's going to have Hunter Wendelstedt behind the plate. Well, you know, Wendelstedt is the metrics that I've seen slightly favor pitchers, but at the same time, that curveball for Hill's got to be rocking. And then, of course, I want to say the Dodgers bullpen has had to been worked a little bit harder than the Brewers bullpen because of Clayton Kershaw getting chased out early in Game 1, which how crazy is that? So, you know, I think there is definitely pressure on the Dodgers, maybe more so than the Brewers, but I think it's the playoffs. I think there's going to be pressure on teams no matter what when it's tied going into a Game 3. So, yeah, I mean, we'll wait and see. I mean, I think the pressure is not so much on the pitching staff. It's probably more on the hitters. You know, Yasmani Grandal is not having a good series. And, you know, the Dodgers would like to keep his bat in the lineup, but they may have to sacrifice it for better defense so that they can put Austin Barnes in there. You know, and then, of course, you have moving Bellinger out into spot in the outfield that maybe he's just not completely comfortable playing because he's normally a first baseman. You know, you have Yasiel Puig will probably get a start somewhere, but, you know, he's being stashed in this lineup, although today he's playing. But, you know, Puig is definitely fighting for playing time. So, I mean, it's a team with a lot of talent, but, you know, where do you put some of that talent? And it's a lot of pressure, I think, on their offense to try and produce runs so that the manager for the Dodgers, Dave Roberts, doesn't have to worry about pulling out his starters a little early and going to that bullpen, because that bullpen at times can be a little shaky. I mean, aside from, you know, Pedro Baez, Caleb Ferguson, and, of course, Kenley Jansen at the back, you know, what really do you have if you're the Dodgers, and is it enough to really take you far into the playoffs? So, I definitely think there's more pressure on the Dodgers right now than there is on the Brewers.
Fascinating stuff. It's so funny, just the perspective and how things change day to day. And, you know, I see it as there's one team that had to win a 163, has the best record. The MVP is the darling of the playoffs. And then there's one team that just needs to win. There's no other way. The Dodgers are one of those rare teams, just like the Astros, just like the Red Sox, Yankees, Cubs, where all that matters is winning right now. And the Brewers have a little bit of that right now. They do. You can't take it away from them. They have that energy and that pressure of you need to win. But they also have the random pressure of being considered the best of the crop right now. And I don't think they were expecting that, but they might just be dumb enough, good enough, and young enough that it just doesn't matter. And they could be literally closer to the 16 Cubs and the 15 Cubs, and they might be the 17 Astros. We have no idea. There's still so much baseball left to be played. There's a manager war going on right now. We have two pretty good managers obviously doing their thing, and I don't think it's as sexy as a matchup, obviously, as Red Sox-Astros, but it's a treat that we're getting right now because either way, we're seeing two of the three best teams in the National League go at it, and it's a series that you said is going to be competitive. But, Paul, game is going on right now. The fans are watching. You need to cover it, and we've taken up enough of your time on this edition of our interviews leading into the World Series, the baseball winter meetings, and pitchers and catchers reporting in 2019. By the time we know it, it's already mid-October, buddy. We'll be in Arizona by the time we know it. Any last thoughts before we get into we call it this week and we get ready for will be the World Series week?
Well, I did have some notes on the World Series.
Go for it.
Well, okay, so I mean, this would be something maybe better for next week if it ends up happening, because that's the exciting part is the the next time I get to talk to you on a Monday night, we'll be previewing the 2018 World Series.
Crazy.
But, there's a good chance that we're going to see the Astros and the Dodgers play each other again, back-to-back years facing each other. This is the two teams from the previous year playing each other. So the last time it happened was 1977 and 78 when the Yankees beat the Dodgers both years. Before that, you got to go 20 years before that, 1957-58, when the Milwaukee Braves won in 57 and the New York Yankees won in 58. Then you got to go about 5 years before that when the Yankees and the Dodgers, back when the Dodgers were in Brooklyn, played 2 straight World Series, but of course both go to the Yankees. Before that, 42 and 43, you have a split with the Cardinals and the Yankees, 42 going to the Cardinals, 43 to the Yankees. 36 and 37, you've got the Yankees and Giants, with both going to the Yankees. It's a all New York World Series there. 1930 and 31, Cardinals and the Philadelphia Athletics, they split with the Cardinals getting the 1931 and the A's getting 1930. Then you've got 3 straight years of the same matchup, 1921, 22, and 23, New York Giants, New York Yankees, with the Giants taking the first 2. And then here's an interesting one. It's not necessarily a back-to-back year same team split, but same city split. So get the 14, 19, 15. You've got 1914. You've got the Boston Braves in the National League and the Philadelphia Athletics in the American League, which now obviously are not even in those cities anymore.
Right.
2015. You have the Boston Red Sox and the Philadelphia Phillies. So that's kind of. I thought that was kind of interesting.
That's funny.
There. And then, of course, the first time that there was back-to-back years where there was the same 2 teams in the World Series. And I'll give you a hint. The National League team won back-to-back years. What was the first time it happened, Mike?
Would it be 1908 and 1907 as the Cubs won their World Series?
You got it.
Yeah, buddy, go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go!
Who did they beat both of those years?
Would it be the Detroit Tigers?
You got it. Good job.
Ooh, I'm not just a pretty face, Paulie.
So I'm excited no matter what our World Series matchup is. But if we've got Astros and Dodgers again this year, I think we're going to have just as good of a series as last year, and it'll be up there with those other matchups for those historic back-to-back years. But I'm still going behind my Red Sox Brewers prediction.
I was going to say, so that's what you're sticking with as of right now. Breaking the fourth wall, it is October 15th. Game 3 is currently going on right now between the Brew Crew and the Dodgers. So, this is it. Next time we're on, we will know what the World Series is. What is your World Series? Like you said, you're sticking with Milwaukee, Boston. But right now, this is the official pick. The last time you'll make a pick in the 2018 season that it's not a championship pick. Who is it? What is Game 1 of the World Series? What is going on? Break down the scenario and give us a tease of what we're looking forward to in next week's episode.
Oh, gosh, so you're making me forecast on the spot. So I'd love to give you a pitching matchup, but I think Red Sox, Brewers, it's going to be at Fenway Park because of the home field advantage of the 108 wins. I'd like to say Chris Sale starts Game 1, but that really all depends on how far that one series goes against the Astros. So it might be David Price. It might be Rick Porcello. Going to be one of those 3. Brewers, well, I don't know what they're going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if Corey Knebel starts the game, as ridiculous as that sounds. Maybe it's Jhoulys Chacin. Maybe it's Gio Gonzalez. Maybe they change up their World Series roster. Maybe we see Chase Anderson or someone else. Maybe Freddie Peralta gets the start. Who knows? Maybe it's a different pitcher every inning in a scoreless game. So, I don't know. For real. And I say our MVP for the series is still going to be Mookie Betts. I think the Red Sox are going to dominate once they meet up with the Brewers.
That's a good call, buddy. And I think I'm going to go with Houston and the Brewers in what is a throwback of me growing up in the NL Central, 2 teams that I absolutely loathe. But I'm a grown adult that gets paid to talk about this. So I think it's going to be Astros, Brewers, and I think this is the chap in the ass that both sneak peek to 2019, the Yankees and the Cubs are going to use as catalysts to get to their World Series in 2019. But, Paulie, that is a teaser and a post-credit scene for a future episode of you here on Sports from the Couch. Paulie, thank you so much for joining us this week. I can't wait. Next time we talk to you, it's the Fall Classic, man. We get to talk about the World Series and what could potentially be a upcome with the Brewers and a new standard. Or we can have the passing of the guard of two thoroughbred blue chip organizations between the Dodgers and the Red Sox. Or we could see a dynasty being made. It's unbelievable. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to talk to you about it, brother. Anything you're working on you want the fans to know heading into the rest of the week?
Possibly my last regular season football game of the year for high school football. I've got Crystal Lake South hosting Prairie Ridge, little inner city rivalry there in Crystal Lake. Both teams Prairie Ridge is definitely guaranteed to make the 6A playoffs. Crystal Lake South, I believe, is a 6A team. They have the 5 wins, so they would be up for the playoffs depending on opponents' wins and that sort of scenario. But Crystal Lake South is looking to solidify it with their 6th win at home at the Swamp. So Gators versus Wolves, we'll see what happens. I'll be there to cover it for the Northwest Herald, nwherald.com. And, Mike, one more thing. If you get your wish of Astros Brewers in the World Series, you'll have a team that has been an American League pennant winner going up as a National League pennant winner, going against a team that was a National League pennant winner that would be an American League pennant winner. They're the only 2 teams that cross leagues in their lifetimes.
And, like, in recent memory, too, it's not like this is, like you said, like the Oakland A's and, stuff like that. Like, the Philadelphia A's, I should say. These are teams that fairly recently made the move over to the other league. So, good stuff, Paulie. Nice little nugget to end the show, buddy. You can follow Paul on Twitter at Paul Chivari. He is covering the MLB playoffs for us and everything that is MLB, Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox, one of the best in the business, baseball analyst and expert. You can check him out at Baseball Weekend Journal whenever he is free and not covering Illinois high school football. He is one of the best play-by-play guys we have, including everything that is minor league baseball, hockey, AHL, all that fun stuff. The dude rocks it. Paulie, can't wait to talk to you next week, brother. Love you.
Thanks for having me, Mike, and I'm looking forward to the Fall Classic.
Thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Sports from the Couch. Follow us all over social media. I'm on Twitter at mmercado2333. Follow me on Instagram at MikeMercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Mercado Airwaves Network. Download us anywhere you get your favorite podcast and like, rate, review, and share us. It means the world to us at Mercado Airwaves. If you would like to hear interviews ad-free and before anybody else with athletes and celebrities, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. And a huge thank you to Munch Art Design for powering us here at the Mercado Airwaves Network. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy all the games. We'll see you on the next episode of Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado.
If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves.
You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Mercado21Alex.
Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, Mike Mercado2333. If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves.
You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Mercado21Alex.
Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves.
You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Mercado21Alex.
Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333.
What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
It's another day at the operator to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing,
How
buddy?
you, sir? I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.